Hello and welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation today. My name is Nesdoly and I'm a PhD student at the University of Alberta. The research I will be presenting is part of a larger community-based participatory research project that I completed during my master's degree. This presentation is titled Facilitating Physical Literacy Within the Framework of Meaningful Physical Education. Thank you to my collaborators, co-authors, SSHRC, and the Killam Research Fund for your support in this project. Before beginning, it may indeed be useful to provide a bit of a background on our journey to conducting the supplementary secondary analysis. The initial study aimed to explore the perspectives of physical literacy with Indigenous peoples. Physical literacy is a widely used concept in both policy and practice settings. However, several researchers have described confusion in moving physical literacy from theory to practice. Such confusion was a critical part of the rationale behind the initial study. In the initial study, the collaborators, who are 11 Indigenous educators, coaches, and youth mentors, described physical literacy as the 5 themes listed on the slide. While completing this project, it became clear that there is noticeable overlap between how the collaborators describe physical literacy and the framework of meaningful physical education. The MPE framework, as described by Benny and colleagues in 2017, is comprised of 5 components. These components were developed based on the work of Scott Kretschmar and further supported through a review of the sport and physical education literature. The overarching goal of the framework is to provide opportunities for students to find meaning in and meaningfully engage with their physical education and sport experiences. It should be noted that the MPE frames an approach to teaching rather than implying a new curriculum for instruction. Thus, the framework is well positioned to support other physical education and sport initiatives. For such reasons, the purpose of the supplementary secondary analysis was to explore Indigenous peoples' perspectives of physical literacy within a framework of meaningful physical education. Consistencies were noted between 3 of the components of meaningful physical education and the perspectives of our collaborators. These findings are represented by the themes below. Benny and colleagues describe social interactions as interactions between friends, peers, teachers, and coaches that either positively or negatively influence the experiences held by youth. If you think back to your own experiences in PE and sport, we may be able to pinpoint such interactions of our own. While the collaborators for the current project describe relational support as support in regards to opportunities or experiences they received in their lives from parents, friends, and community champions. For example, Clara shared the highlighted quote. From reading this quote, it is clear that both the collaborators in this project and the MPE framework suggest that positive social interactions are necessary to support positive physical activity, physical education, or sport experiences. Personally relevant learning boils down to the ability for instructors, whether that be educators, coaches, or youth mentors, to begin to understand and utilize the unique context of the youth that they are working with. This aligns well with how the collaborators describe being mindful of teachings, that is, to understand the implications your actions have on the experiences held by your students. An example of how an instructor may aim to achieve a personally relevant learning experience for their students is described within the quote shared by Alyssa P. Note her excitement in learning about her culture and how she highlighted the potential usefulness of this in a PE context. Perhaps, too, this may be beneficial in sport. As Athena suggested, fun is a critical reason to want to continue engaging in physical activities. Perhaps one way to encourage fun is by taking a youth-centered approach, or rather an approach where youth have more autonomy in the activity or takes into account their interests. This might be a novel activity like the game of hula hoop, rock, paper, scissors that Athena suggested, or it could be other useful tools that build connections like humor. The idea of fun in MPE goes far beyond just enjoyment, or as Kretschmar calls it, joy. For example, Kretschmar shared, "When movement is experienced as joy, it adorns our lives, makes our days go better, and gives us something to look forward to. When movement is joyful and meaningful, it may even inspire us to do things that we never thought possible." Findings from this research suggest that the Meaningful Physical Education Framework may be a useful tool for facilitating physical literacy experiences amongst Indigenous youth in both physical education and sport settings. As a result, this may aid in clearing confusion, as noted by several researchers and practitioners in the Robinson et al. Study. Many programs focused on developing physical literacy tend to emphasize the physical aspect of the concept or the fundamental movement skills. Perhaps by using the MPE framework, Indigenous youth will have a greater opportunity to develop all aspects of physical literacy, including the affective, cognitive, and physical domains. Thank you for watching. For more information, comments, or questions, feel free to email us at autumn.nesdoly@ualberta.ca. Thank you.